Hey everyone, today I was going to do a quick video on Final Fantasy XIV, some tips and tricks to kind of help with patch 2.2. These probably will apply to pretty much any other patch after this, but for the most part, they apply to patch 2.2. Now while I'm doing the video, I'm actually going to be doing some of my Atma grinding, since I don't get much time to do that. And it takes an extremely long time to do. So in patch 2.2 they added in the Atma weapons. Well, in order to get an Atma weapon, you have to have a Zenith relic. So you get your weapon, your relic weapon, then you have to get 3 quenching oils, which cost 900 mythology. And then you go back and turn it into a Zenith weapon. So once you've done that, you go back to the same quest giver, and then he'll direct you to another guy, which is actually right next to him, and he'll tell you how to get your Atma weapon. Now, whenever you're farming for this thing, it is going to take an extremely long time. I think for me, it probably took 4 days or so. It took a while. So you're going to go through, and in order to get these Atma, you have to go to all kinds of different fates and a whole bunch of different zones. You have to collect 12 of them with an extremely low drop rate. So after you've done this and you've turned your weapon into Atma weapon, then you get to go get a whole bunch of books, which cost 1500 mythology each. And then it's even more grinding. So, in order to kind of get through all of this, in my opinion, the easiest way to do all of the Atma farming is, number one, you want to create a level sync macro. It's going to actually help out a whole bunch, because you're not going to have to click that button that's on the screen. Next, you're going to want to make a checklist of all the different Atma that there are and which ones you've gotten and haven't gotten yet. After that, whenever you're actually farming the Atma, try to switch between the zones that you haven't gotten Atma from yet. So what I would do is actually go through and maybe do 5 or 6 fates, then switch and go to a different zone and try to get that one, because the drop rate, no matter what, it's low, but it kind of breaks up some of the tedious doing the same thing over and over again, the monotony of fate grinding in order to get these Atma. So I recommend doing that. Also, whenever doing it, I know a lot of people like to do this in really big parties, which is okay, but what I prefer to do is join a party of other people that are leveling up their chocobos. This is a really good time to knock out getting your chocobo to max level if you haven't done that, or max rank if you haven't done that yet. So that way you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Also, I would also go get a bunch of items that you can equip for spirit bonding. This way you can get some higher grade materia. Plus you're making money while you're doing this, and you're able to actually go through and use that materia later on, because you're gonna need it whenever you're actually doing your gathering and your crafting and everything else, because a lot of the newer stuff now is going to require you to put materia on your items. Also, another thing that I do for the Atma grind is usually listen to music or talk to friends on Mumble, or I'll watch a movie on Netflix or watch TV, or even whenever I'm Twitch streaming. That way I can sit there and talk to people doing that. Pretty much anything to distract me off of the game, because it is a big grind and it's not very fun, and continues to not be fun, because you're going to get those Atma and you're going to be like, alright, I got my new weapon, this is great, finally. And then you're going to come to find out that you have to go do this even more a whole bunch more for all these books just so you can increase the stats on the item. Now, in the long run, it is worth it. In the end, it is worth it, but getting there is not. It is not worth it. Let's see. Next for 2.2 is they added in 2 new primals, and in my opinion, compared to whenever they introduced Titan in 2.0, it's not as big. It's not as big of an issue this time. Like with Titan and Titan Extreme, those are pretty difficult fights. In my opinion, the Leviathan fight really isn't. It's all about paying attention. Same with the new Mogomog fight. It's just about paying attention. They're really not that difficult. And you know, getting a competent group that knows, everybody knows what they're doing. So whenever you're going to do the new primals, just make sure you understand the mechanics that are going on, and then make sure you tell everybody in the group that you haven't done it. That way they can tell you, okay, you need to be over here, you need to be doing this, don't touch this, you know, or kill this when it pops up. So that way you have a clue what's going on. Because for the most part, it's not something that somebody that hasn't ever done it before can't do within the first first maybe 4 or 5 runs or so. It's really not hard. Also, make sure whenever you're doing the new primals that you stun or silence the mobs that need to be silenced, especially on Leviathan. There's certain ads that pop up that have to be stunned, and there's certain ones that need to be silenced. So make sure you're on top of that. And again, if you've never done the fights before, then I'm pretty positive somebody is going to tell you which ones you need to be doing. So, and then the main thing is just pay attention. That's the number one thing. Especially, like I said, with Leviathan, with him you just have to watch for the water spouts that come from the sides of the boats. If you see a water spout, you already know you're going to have to go to the other side of the boat. So just pay attention to that. Really easy. Just be patient. Let's see, with the new coil turns that they added in for this patch. I've only done turn 6 and 7, and with both of these, and from what I've seen with the coils beyond this, all the new fights are pretty much adaptive on the fly. So you're going to be, there's not going to be a set sure strategy other than certain mechanics that have to be dealt with, but everything is pretty much on the fly. Can be, it seems like there's a lot of randomness to it. There's going to be, a certain mechanic that comes along, you know how to deal with it, but the situation that you're in isn't going to make it the same every time. So make sure that you're extremely adaptive and that you're paying attention to what's going on, especially your debuffs. That's like a real big thing. Also, make sure you don't use YouTube as a strategy guide. Please use it as, to understand maybe a mechanic of something, or to, maybe even see what the fight looks like. But don't use it as a strategy guide, because everybody goes in with a different party makeup. So that means that strategy guide that you're watching most likely isn't going to ever apply to whatever party you're in. You might do something completely different than everybody else. And, this applies to pretty much everything in the game, really. But for the most part, just use it for what the mechanics are. Because the mechanics obviously aren't going to change. It's just going to be the way the party setup is, and like I said, the randomness to it, especially with the new turns. Let's see. Oh yeah, make sure you always focus target. Whatever your main target is, this helps a ton. Especially if you're doing something like Twintania. That helps a whole lot. Next would be the making making gil in 2.2. So since they have pretty much increased a lot of the stuff that the crafters can make and changed out what the primary foods are and what the primary items and item levels, because they've done this, there's a little bit different ways of making some money now, but at the same time there's a whole lot of money to be made. So with the crafters, you actually want to make the low leveled stuff. Make a, like for weaver and leather worker and blacksmith, anything like that. You want to make the lower end stuff because people are buying that stuff up to put on the retainers, because the retainers have to have a certain item level if you're going to do any kind of venture, or if you want them to go gather something up for you or whatever else. They have to have a certain item level for that now. So actually there's a bunch of money to be made in a lot of the lower end crafted stuff. For culinarians, accuracy food. They have increased accuracy a lot for what's being needed, what's required for turn 6 through 9 in the coil. So people are buying up accuracy food like crazy, and that stuff is selling hot. Also, the gathering food, high-end gathering food, because a lot of your gatherers are making money off of gathering all these new items that people need. They actually require a higher gathering now, so they're going to be buying up the gathering food. Also, for the gatherers, obviously the new 1-star and 2-star nodes are going to make you a bunch of money, but for fishing especially, if you can fish up a Titanic sawfish, which is actually used in the new quest or quest line that they put out for fishing, those sell for a whole bunch right now and don't really require much. You just have to have the HQ gather or fishing gear, and you don't even have to have anything slotted in it, and some lug worms and a fishing rod. That's really it, and some time. For me, I can fish one of those up in maybe hour, 2 hours, something like that. And I'm just sitting there watching a movie while I'm doing it, so it's not like I'm doing anything, you know, tedious or something that I have to focus in on. Plus, they added in the fact that the end of your rod can now glow, so it's all the easier. So a bunch of money to be made there, a bunch of money to be made in accuracy food and low level items crafted now. And then the new glamour prisms, I know those are selling pretty good. And any of the crafts other than culinarian gets access to making one of these glamour prisms, which sell for a whole bunch, and everybody's trying to customize their own character and have all their gear tailored to whatever they're wanting it to look like. So those are selling pretty good. Last thing is make sure you do your Hildebrand quest. If you haven't done it, a really good quest line to be doing anyway, but you're definitely going to want to do that, because there is a trial at the end that you need to do, which is called the Battle of the Great Battle of the Bridge, or Great Bridge? I can't remember the name of it, but there's a battle at the end that you have to do that actually ends up being at one of the trials. Once you finish that and you have your relic weapon, you would have done all of the trials. That way you can random do a trial every day and get a whole bunch of marks. I mean, it's like super quick marks. So you just keep doing it. You don't have to keep doing it, but if you do that as one of your dailies along with your expert dungeon quest, then yeah, you'll have all of your new marks of soldiery for the week, probably in about 4 days. without really having to do that. That way you can focus in on stuff like this. Atmo grinding. And all of its greatness. Days and days of Atmo grinding. Especially if you have multiple weapons like me. Oh man, this is horrible. Oh. So anywho, I wish everybody luck on their Atmo grinding and everything that they need to do. And good luck.